maybe it's not so good to say this, but
Alright, so hey you guys, welcome to today's video. I have Barbara here with Merida Moves, and we're going to answer some of your questions that you've been leaving in the comments, and then we're just going to have a little chit chat about it all, okay? Alright, so Barbara is a lawyer here, okay? A full-ass lawyer. So she has a lot of information. She knows a lot. She knows about the contracts when it comes to like rental agreements and things like that. So if you have any questions, of course, you can definitely reach out to her on Facebook or on her website.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the questions really quick. So the first question is, what does temporary residency allow?
Well, temporary residency, I mean, when you decide to move to Mexico, you have two options. So, and visas, actually it's three options. So you can move just with tourist visa. You won't need anything, just take your passport and come. So when you cross the border, they're gonna give you a tourist visa. That's gonna allow you to be into the country for 6 months.
Okay.
Or you can do, you can apply for a more longer visa that it goes the temporary or the permanent. So it's two boats. You need to apply outside Mexico. Don't need to be in United States, could be in any place. I mean, you can apply in Cuba, you can apply in any Mexican consulate outside Mexico. So it doesn't need to be in United States. Well, of course, if you are there, that will be more easy. So then when you apply for that, they're gonna decide if they give you a temporary or a permanent. So that will be up to them. So, and honestly, it's about money. So if you make a lot of zeros in your account, you having a lot of zeros in your account, or you can prove that you have money coming to you often, big quantities, like with they asking you statements or prove that you have some pension, whatever, you know, anything that you can prove that you have some money in the bank. And if you can prove that, beside that, they're gonna ask you anything. So and they're gonna give you a temporary or a permanent. With that, what you can do here in Mexico, basically just have access to some discounts, you know, like some people that move here are really old, so they have discount for older people, you know, like a certain percent and buy tickets in Mexican Airlines.
We have that in the U.S. I think it's like AARP or something like that. It's like
here they call in a pan, so that's for older people, you know. So the people that have the residency and they're older, so they can have that card and they give you some discounts or whatever. And for young people, basically just open Mexican accounts. You can have your Mexican accounts with your residency and any Mexican bank, so that's gonna allow you to have some credit. I mean, building a credit, you know. They're gonna take you some time, but of course you can start with that, you know, open the Mexican account and then do some deposit really often, and then you having some, you know, and then building a credit slowly. And other than that, I'm gonna say buy a car. I mean, actually, you can buy a car like tourist, but you cannot register into your name. So the car gonna allow you putting that car into your name.
And the temporary residency, that lasts for 1 year. You have to renew it, right?
Yes. With the temporary, it's I mean the process is real. I mean, if you have the opportunity to get access to the permanent, do it. Just because with the permanent, when they give you the permanent, you come here and then you need to do an other tramit here that it calls canje. That means like an exchange. So you're gonna exchange that visa that they attach into your passport, so they actually green card. So they give you a green card. So and then you need to finish that process here. So as soon as you come here, they give you 30 days for doing this process. I mean, start the process. So with the permanent, you do that, and then you pay the amount for the permanent that I think now is like 6,000 pesos, and that's it. You don't need to do anything else. You know, you're gonna have that card forever, and you can just travel, live in other countries, then come back. Doesn't matter, you know. Your permanent will be there. So and it's not due, of course, because it's permanent. And with the temporary, you need to do the first year. The first year is gonna cost you around 4,000 pesos, more or less. And then after that, you need to renew. You have the options to renew 3 years in a row after the first year. So that's gonna cost you around 8,000 pesos. And then after that, you can have access to the permanent. Right. So that means that you need to pay the $6,000 for the permanent. So that's gonna cost you more money if you go through the first and the
right. Yeah, that's extra. Do landlords conduct credit checks?
I mean, I know in the United States when you don't pay the rent, maybe it's not so good to say this, but Mexico, we don't have that office or that you know, people they check your credit. I mean, if you own your rent there and you don't pay, I know that you're gonna go through some place that they're gonna affect your credit or something like that. We don't have that here. Okay. So basically, when you rent here, it's just about pay on time. You know, that's why they ask you have a guarantor, and a guarantor need to be Mexicans, because in that way you will have something attaching to Mexico. You know, because in other ways you can just don't pay or just take a flight and leave.
Never come back.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they ask you to have a guarantor or at least double deposit. So everything here in Mexico, I will say, is about money. So basically, if you have money and then you have enough money for paying the double deposit, you will be okay. Or you have a person they're gonna sign for you in the guarantor, you will be okay. And even with that, if you break the deal here in Mexico, usually we do 1-year lease when you do a lease with Mexican people, because they want to rent the house for long term. So basically, when you do the 1-year lease, if you want to break the lease, I don't know, something's happening to go back to United States or whatever, you don't like the place, whatever, and you want to just break the deal, the only repercussion will be lose your deposit. Okay. So, but they're not gonna make you pay the rest of the month. You're not gonna force to be there, blah blah blah. So that's not happening here. So basically, it's just lose your deposit and that's it.
Do they go up on the rent? Like after you've been in a place for a year, in the U.S., they usually like to raise the rent after the year.
Well, I mean, when you sign a contract, that I always check that with my clients, because Merida, it's a place that is go up in the rents every year. I mean, we're going up in the rents every year. So some landlords are really crazy. You have a rent for a certain amount this year, and then the next rent they're gonna charge you double. So here I will say, if your contract say that you have to renew for only increasing, it's usually the 5%. You write it in the contract, and then you will have the option the next year to renew in that amount. They're not gonna rise like a crazy, But if this is an option, yes, it is an option. But I will say, when your rent is strong, it's a good amount and strong, they're not gonna try to rise up, especially if you're being a really good tenant and you pay, because it's not so easy to rent in a place in 15,000 or 20,000 pesos. Mostly of the Mexicans don't have that amount for paying. And then if they pay, sometimes they don't pay on time and blah blah blah. So if you're building a really good relationship with your landlord, it's more than possible that they not raise the rent the next year. And then I have a tons of clients that after they end in the year, the landlord just do monthly, because they trust in them already. They're being really good tenants and they pay on time. So they just, whatever, just pay me month by month, and then we're gonna see. Let me tell you something. We have a lot of, I think that I call squats or something like that. Squatters. So here, if the landlord let you into the house without a contract, that will be so difficult to them kick you out. So they need to sue you, and they're gonna cost them money, and you can be in the house for at least 5 or 6 months without paying. So that's why they gonna require a contract. So they're gonna make you sign a contract that they say exactly the day that you need to leave. So, but the contract, needs to be notarized for have some value, and you will need to pay the notary. So basically, you will need to have the first month of deposit, the first month of the rent, the current living month, and the lawyer fee. The lawyer fee is usually, if your rent is not so high, it's not so expensive, is usually the month of rent. But if your rent is more than 10,000, 12,000 pesos, they usually just adjust in that range, so that will be lower than that. And if you don't have a guarantor, sometimes they ask you a second deposit that will be fully refundable. I'm saying fully refundable because Mexicans don't like to give them back money. Well, that's true. You know, they don't like it, so they probably at the end they're gonna find a lot of things that they're gonna cost you. You know, don't give you back your deposit. But that's why we try to save in that second deposit to our clients to sign for them like a guarantor. So in that way they don't need to pay that. So it's more easy. I mean, it's not the ideal thing, but it's more easy to lose one than two. You know, so. And then if you don't have the guarantor, you will need to pay the double deposit. So basically, at least you need to have 4 months in advance the total of your rent, for you be sure, you know, forgot the house. So
4 months in advance.
Yeah, you're gonna pay that by the moment that you give them the keys. So, and other ways, your other option will be Airbnb. You know, so but I always tell my clients, if you do a scoop visit, I mean, it's recommended, it's highly recommended do a scoop visit first you move here, you know. But when you do a scoop visit, even if your scoop visit is really short, I mean 1 week or 2 weeks, book several Airbnbs. So book 2 days in one place, 2 days in other area. So in that way, you're gonna have better sense about all the areas, you know, because Centro, it's beautiful and the house is beautiful for vacations, you know. But if you live in there more than 1 month, you're gonna get crazy. I mean, well, that's my thought, you know. Maybe some people love it, but I gonna recommend it booking several places, you know, so you can scoop different areas in you visit, you know, at least the first time.
I know you said that people should have at least 4 months in advance saved up, well, period. But do you have like an amount that you would recommend that people have like seriously saved up, you know, because you're not going to be able to work out here and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Like, how much would you honestly say?
Well, I'm gonna say depends of your move of living. You know, we Merida, it's really beautiful, and I always recommend it because having a spot for everyone. So if you come here and you told me that your budget is $300, for example, for living, you can have a house with that amount. You know, but you need to be aware that not gonna looks like in a luxury place, you know. It's just in a local place. So I'm gonna say it depends how much are you planning to spend. That will be how much do you planning to, I mean, for save something, you know. I'm not saying they come here with $1 million, but save something at least, because when you're renting a place here in Mexico, you don't need to set up your, you know, the power on the water. When you go in the place, everything is gonna be set up for you, and you're not gonna own anything. So, but after the first 2 months, you're gonna start to pay the bills, you know. So you're gonna pay your power. That's gonna be the most expensive bill. You're gonna pay if your house is not in a condom complex, you're gonna pay the gas. You need to fill in the gas for be able for cook or even have hot water, because most of the tanks here it's running with gas. Or you're gonna pay the water, which is really cheap, or the internet also. Mostly of the places don't include anything. When I'm saying anything in the rent, I'm saying anything, you know. So you need to pay beside your power, your water, your gas, and your internet. But if you're planning to find a work here, a job here, that's not. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I mean, well, even if this happens, that's not gonna be a lot of money, you know. So yeah, and you will need to be able for living in a really south part of the city, you know, with real locals, and well, that's mean a lot of funny stuff.
Okay, so that is all the questions I have for her today, y'all. I'm gonna leave Barbara's information as far as her website and her Facebook page, so if you guys want to reach out to her about questions about moving, relocating here, you can feel free to do that. And I will see you guys on my next upload. Bye.
Bye.
All right.